Hey friends, Cherie here. Welcome back to the channel, Gardening at Home with Cherie. Well, today is Wednesday, July 29th. I'm kicking off my participation in the Three Rivers Homestead's annual challenge called Every Bit Counts. The challenge officially starts August 1st. Basically throughout the month of August, we're being encouraged to preserve something every day. But it's not a super strict challenge, and I love that. I've been, watching along with this challenge for probably the last 4 or 5 years. And I love watching the videos, and I've always wanted to participate. I've recorded videos to participate and never released them because usually in my garden in Zone 4 here in Minnesota, I haven't had that much ready to preserve. My preservation usually starts in September, for my garden. But during this challenge, you are able to also preserve, things you're buying in bulk, not just stuff from your garden. So I'm going to be doing that. But I got my timing in my garden such that I actually do have things that are putting out more in a day than I can use in that day. So, and some of the stuff is like the sweet banana peppers is daily. I'm getting, handfuls, a half dozen to a dozen of these little peppers at this stage. And so, so I'm going to go ahead and join in. I will link to Three Rivers Homestead's video where she talks about this annual challenge, and I'll be using the hashtag. I'm not sure the format I'm going to do. Some people do it like once a week updates. Again, she's very flexible on how you do things, and I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm just going to go with how I feel. But I am starting a few days early because I'm slow at editing, and in order for me to have a video ready, I need to go ahead and start. Plus, I just have things that I already intended to start putting up, again, like the sweet banana peppers, because I'm just getting out more than I need for a day or two. And then also I have like a lot of herbs. So that's what you'll see throughout this first week probably. But I'm in the garden like I always do. I'm going to do a quick hose down of things, and then I'm just going to go pick what's ready to pick. We're going to see how much we can fill up this bowl, and then we'll talk about, what I'm going to do with it. All right, so I got some sweet banana peppers. Found a few tomatoes that were ripening. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab those. This is a hot pepper that started ripening while it was really small, I think because of the heat. So I went on and pulled those. I'm gonna see if there are enough beans for today, but I'll probably do the beans tomorrow because there's something different I want to do with those, and I have plenty of peppers to preserve up a couple of pints. So yeah, that's a quick, simple start. So this is going to be a nice little bit to put up. All right, so here's what I got from this garden space. I'm going to drop this off in the kitchen and head to my lower garden and see what I can grab. Okay, friends, so we're down in my other garden. I was down here earlier watering and saw that there was some tomatoes ripening. I missed a few of these earlier. Critter got in here and started nibbling, so I'm going to make sure that I'm checking these. I'm behind on my garden maintenance. I keep pushing this back. The heat is not allowing me to be out here working quite as much as I want to, but I see tomatoes back there that are turning, so I'm just going to take my time, lift up these plants and get what's ripening, because then hopefully tomorrow I will have time to come out here, clean up these branches, get them staked. The mosquitoes out, so I can't be out here too long anyway. I added a few tomatoes, and now I'm going to grab some peppers. I see some sriracha peppers have ripened all the way to red or partially to red, so I'm going to get those. I already have some that I harvested a couple days ago in the fridge waiting for these to join, because I have something that I want to make with this. So let me get the rest of these. All right, so here's a handful of sriracha peppers. And I noticed the These are black beauties. We're coming in. Can you see that? Yeah. So I was thrilled about that. I'd seen all the blossoms. I mean, the plants are loaded with blossoms, but I didn't see those ones hanging down low. And then I'm going to thoroughly inspect these, but I noticed in here that this one that I had seen had already gotten really long in just a couple of days. So I'm going to get that. And then here, there's one. And then I saw there was another one. It's curled, but it's even bigger. Oops, can you see that? Look at that. I think I have my phone over the lens, but this one has got real big. I totally missed that. So I'm gonna get those 3 for sure. And I'll thoroughly inspect all the plants and get them staked. There are blooms everywhere. And I'll just make sure, I just wanna make sure there aren't any more fruit hanging down too low. Yeah. Very exciting that more eggplants. So these, I already harvested one of another variety. Or was that a black beauty? No, I don't think so. And then these will be the next 2 varieties, it seems. So yeah, so here they are, same eggplant variety, just harvested at 3 different stages. So we'll taste them and see which stage I prefer. I think this is probably optimal, just based on the look, but we shall see. All right, here we go. I'm gonna get this inside, weigh it up for my journal log, and then we will enjoy this as a part of dinner tonight, probably. Okay, let's get this stuff weighed. We'll put in the srirachas first. .4 ounces. I'll just do the tomatoes together. This looks like one that possibly 2 got fused together. Those are some big cherries. Got my first chocolate cherry. Again, you can see how many tomatoes it takes to even get to a pound. That's why when I see people saying that they're like make a year's supply of tomato sauce from like 2 or 3 plants, it's like their yields must be enormous. I can't push that many tomatoes out of my plant, so I have to plant a lot of plants. But this is my tomatoes, total of a little over a pound. So yeah, that's the harvest. Okay, let's do these banana peppers. All right, so let's weigh these eggplant. I'm gonna get them cleaned up and put in the fridge until it's time to eat. So 13.6 ounces for the 3. And not bad for the first harvest of the season. And again, I have not grown this variety before. I've grown some that look similar. They don't get quite as long. So I'm excited to try these. All right, friends, so it's Thursday, July 30th. I'm back out in the garden. And what I'm gonna be doing is looking for as many green beans as I can find. I'm gonna get all the beans, but I'm particularly looking for green beans because I have some in the fridge left over from my last 2 harvests. And I think I'm gonna test pressure can them. I pressure canned green beans before several times, but I've never pressure canned my own homegrown green beans, mostly because the whole point of me growing them is to have like fresh food. And then I would typically pick up a bushel from the farmer's market, and that's typically how I did like my big stocks of pressure canned beans. And then last year I ran out And I got green beans from Azure Standard, and they were just too mushy for me, for our taste. And so I know that I want to pressure can a year's worth. I know what I pressure canned previously, and I know that was not enough. So I've done another calculation, and I'm going to see if between my homegrown green beans and I got an extra bushel of green beans. I'm buying them from a new local farm where I get my eggs. And so I'm going to see if I can do a year's worth, and I'm doing them early. I'm so glad they have their green beans early because, again, like I said, I know how many cans I want to have. And so this gives me a lot of time to, try to grow more of my own or place another order for another bushel. So we shall see. So I'm just going to scan these plants. The green beans are always a little bit harder to see because they are, basically the same color of the leaves. And so I'm going to take my time today. It's not super hot right now. I'm going to get my bin. See, like, look over here. I'll start to see them when I've missed them and they've gotten real big. But again, I'm going to pressure can them. So they don't need to be quite as tender as I like them to be when I'm, doing a quick flash steam and eating them or eating them raw. So that's the main thing I'm going to be looking for today, but I will gather some other things as well. I'm thinking about harvesting the first kohlrabi of the season. I have 2 that are about this size, and I have some more transplants that are ready to get transplanted. So, and I have a lot more growing. So I might go ahead and pull 1 or 2 to enjoy those. They'll be the first ones of the season. Some more hot peppers ripening. So I might grab some of those. I'm gonna go through these green stalks. I'll probably harvest some of the brassica leaves because they're just getting real big and touching each other and kind of hiding things. Like this cayenne pepper down here that is fully ripe that I missed. So I'm gonna take my time, go through all of these green stalks and see which brassica leaves I want to trim back. That'll also give me a chance to inspect them to see if that white butterfly, which is flying around right now, turkey, like so disrespectful, all up in my face. But I'm gonna look for any kind of eggs to wash off as well, because these are doing so good. Now all of these are being grown for either the root, the bulb that will grow, or for a flowering crown. But I do like to eat the brassica leaves, and I don't want them to get, totally destroyed. So yeah, I'll spend some time up here with these 3 green stalks and the peppers and brassicas. Okay, so I'm gonna kick off my canning and preserving for today with doing some beans. I'm out of most of my home pressure canned beans. I have a few, probably like a dozen jars left, and they're of beans that I don't use that often. So I need to restock all my favorite beans. I'm going to start off with the pink beans, the garbanzo beans, and I'm going to do some split green peas as well. And when you're canning beans, you can either soak them for 12 to 18 hours after you pick through and clean them, or you can do the boil method, to soak them, where you put the beans in the pot with cold water, bring it up to a boil, let it boil for 2 minutes, and then turn off the heat and just let them soak in that hot water for an hour. That's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to do the full bags of all 3 of these at one time. If they're sitting and soaking a little bit longer, that's fine. Actually, I'll probably start one. I'm going to start the garbanzo beans because I'm going to do that whole bag, and then I'll start the next one and the next one. And so this will take up my whole day with the pressure canner. And then while that's all going, I'll be stuck here in the kitchen monitoring things. And so I have a bunch of other things that I'm going to get taken care of. And I'll share that with you at the end when we wrap up how many jars of beans that I got pressure canned for the day and what else I got done, all right? Okay, so here are the first 4 jars before going into the pressure canner. I'm using my electric digital pressure canner right now, because I have a lot of things to do and I don't want to, you know, have to stay over the stove watching things. And so, especially with things like beans and, you know, non-meat items, I love to use the digital pressure canner for that. So these have to go for 90 minutes. I'm going to get them loaded in the canner and we'll see what they look like when they come out. And then I'm just going to be repeating this. I have a big old pot of chickpeas waiting. Remember, I'm doing that whole 5-pound bag. All right, friends, so I'm out in the garden. It is Saturday, August 1st, the first official day for the start of the Every Bit Counts challenge. But as I said, I started a couple days early. I'm out today looking for green beans because I'm going to try to run my very first batch of pressure canned homegrown green beans of the season. And so we'll just see what I find. I'm only going to pressure can the green beans. If I find a good amount of the purple and red beans, I might freeze dry them because I can have the freeze dryer running while the canners are running. But otherwise I might also just do that next week. And then I'm also just going to harvest some other things that are ready to go, especially because I do also need to clean out some of these beds to make space for some other things that I want to put in here, like these intermediate day onions. I've gotten about half of them out. I'm going to get the rest of them out and put something new in there. I may or may not go ahead and harvest more potatoes. We'll see. Yeah, how the timing goes. Grab all the peppers that I see because one of the other things that I want to do is some batches of pickled, homegrown, sweet banana peppers. I'll look for all ripened or ripening tomatoes and collect those before the critters see them. I think I'm gonna harvest my first kohlrabi of the garden season as well. I'll grab 1 or 2 of these maybe. I did notice some red popping through all this green. These are some hot peppers. So I will harvest anything that I see in there that's ready to harvest as well. I may also grab some of these hot banana peppers, though I do like to harvest those on different days than the sweet banana peppers, just so I don't get them confused. Okay, so it's a beautiful day to be out in the garden. I'm going to get my containers, my baskets, my shears, my gloves, and get to harvesting. Here's what I've gotten so far. It's the last one again. All right, yes, I'm definitely gonna get this kohlrabi. I have several more that are getting pretty big. I have a bunch planted, so I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy this one today. Early on, I harvested some of the leaves and enjoyed those. Then the white caterpillar started coming. But yeah, this is a good sized bulb. I'm gonna try it out. I have at least a dozen of these growing right now, and then I have my succession planting. Those seedlings are getting bigger, so I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy this one. Found some beans, not as many as I hoped. A lot of them are still a little bit small, so I'm gonna hold off on harvesting. I'm gonna get this bowl in the house. I'll have to go to my lower garden. I have to come back up here and get the onions and probably some more peppers, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this in the house because it's quite warm in the sun. Okay, so I'm back up. I'm gonna get the rest of the intermediate day onions out of this bed here. Okay, so here are the intermediate day onions. This is the rest of them. I may have missed some, but I've already harvested about half of them. So this is a good amount from that one bed, and I think they're gonna be great to use up in some of these canning recipes. And then I still have my long day storage onions growing, and they'll be for me to harvest and cure and, you know, eat fresh throughout the fall and winter as long as they last. But I'm glad to have these earlier in the season to use for some canning, and especially in this Every Bit Counts challenge. Now I'll get back in here, clean this bed out. I have some mint that I'll cut back, and then I have space to pop some more things, and I might even put some more onions in. I have some little onion sets that I haven't even planted yet. I was going to plant in the greenhouse to grow through fall, but I have a lot of them, so I might put some in here. And even if they get small size, they'll be good for pickling or, again, using it in some more canning recipes later in the season. This bed also has some onions, some red onions, but they may have gotten overshadowed because I feel like they're kind of done already, and these usually get much bigger than this. And so we'll see. I've grown them in my main garden before, and they did really well, so it might just be the location. This is a long day onion, I'm pretty sure, so it may not have been getting enough sun up here. But you know, I'm gonna leave them alone for a little while longer, and these might be just perfect little onions to pickle. Just have some little purple pickled onions. We'll enjoy those too. Then I also have more onions over here in this bed. I have to find the label. I think this is a white onion. We'll see how they do over here. So let's go ahead. Pretty sure this is a long day variety too. So yeah, they haven't really gotten big, and so they may not have liked this position, because I've grown these before, again, in my main garden, and they got real big and we're good. So we'll see. You gotta play around. Again, this might be the wrong location for them. Okay, I'm gonna take these now, and then I think I'm gonna come and look for one container of potatoes to harvest, because I think we're gonna do cheeseburgers with some homegrown tomatoes and lettuce and onions from the garden, and maybe some home fries. I still have some potatoes left that I can use, but I'm gonna check to see if another variety of like a white potato is, you know, ready to harvest as new potatoes. All right, so I found a container that I want to harvest. I just stuck my finger in and I could see there was some potatoes pretty close to the surface. Again, this is a small plastic container that I recycled, and I have lots of more of this particular variety growing. So we're gonna harvest this thing and see what's inside. All right, so here's what I got. Ooh, it's a big old spider running around in there. I'm gonna take that inside. And look at all this still growing on here. I'm gonna put this stuff right back in that pot like I've been doing. See if they will continue to grow or not. But like I said, I do have more growing as well. This will be nice for dinner. I'm gonna get them inside and get them wiped off and weighed. And we're gonna eat these with our cheeseburgers, homegrown tomatoes, homegrown lettuce, and homegrown onions. That'll make a nice dinner. And a quick, easy dinner while I continue working on my canning projects. All right, so let's get some tomatoes and things that I saw down here ripening. I forgot to get the lettuce for our dinner tonight from up at the hillside garden, so I will run back out there. But this is gonna be the bulk of the remainder of what I'm gonna harvest today, August 1st, 2026. I got the beans going, and so they have to go for an hour more. And so I got some time to spend out here harvesting and maybe even getting some maintenance done. But let's see what we collect. I grabbed these 2 little cherries on the way in. I'm gonna put this bowl down and just harvest. Coming over here to check to see what I can harvest, and I find these menaces destroying my grape vine. So I keep this container just with some water in it, and I just knock them down in there using this, like cup the leaf. So I have the leaf in between this container and this lid, just kind of shake them down into the water. I was able to catch all of those that I just showed you. And yeah, I'll just put the lid on like that, and I leave that until the next time I see some. I guess I needed a bigger bowl. I'm gonna go over to the side now. My cherry tomato plants over on the side. These are the first ones that I planted. I think there are probably like a dozen varieties going up along this side of the fencing, along with some tomatillas. But yeah, I have some of different varieties ripening. Another variety that's ripening. All right, well, I didn't bring a big enough bowl, so I'm going to get these inside carefully. And then as I'm cooking dinner, I'll run back up the hillside to get the lettuce. I probably won't record that, but I'll show you the meal. Almost forgot my dragon's egg cucumber. Get these potatoes weighed. I didn't wipe the dirt off, but the dirt will add minimally to the weight. Also 1 pound, 2 ounces. So I'm gonna get these cleaned up and peeled and tossed in some olive oil and my little seasoning for my fries. And I do my fries in the oven. I do like oven roasted fries, not like deep fried and oil fries. So they're gonna take a little bit. I'm gonna get them in the oven, prepare the cheeseburgers, and I'll just show you a little glimpse of the dinner. Get some of the lettuce that I have growing in this bag. They're baby leaves, but it's fine. They'll be perfect on the burgers. Well, that 5-pound bag of chickpeas is done. So now we're moving on to the pink beans. That's a 36-ounce bag. So we'll see how many quarts we get out of this. Next batch of beans going in the pressure canner. And this is the last batch that I pulled out. These are pink beans. They're so beautiful. These are the chickpeas that I got done so far. 11 quarts. But really, this one isn't completely full. I'm gonna crack that one open tomorrow and probably enjoy it with a meal. And then the other 10 will go on the pantry shelf. So here's my jar count today. I added those 4 jars of pink beans, and I've added 4 jars of black-eyed peas so far. So I have 19 quart-sized jars canned up so far. 4 more in the pressure canner. And again, this jar of chickpeas, I'm gonna get that open today, probably to enjoy. And I did leave out some of the black-eyed peas. One portion I cooked all the way through to enjoy with dinner tonight. So I'll reheat that with something. And then I portioned out 2-cup portions and put those in containers and put those in the freezer. All right, so I'm gonna move on with my preserving for the Every Bits Counts Challenge week 1. I've worked my way through some beans, some dried beans that I bought in bulk. Now I'm gonna move on to preserving some of the extra produce that I've harvested throughout the week. And yeah, I'm excited about that. One thing that I grew a lot of at the beginning of the season, I've been succession planting regularly throughout the season, is green beans. I knew I usually grow green beans because we love fresh green beans. And so in the past, I have not really I haven't pressure canned my green beans, nor preserved them in any way, really, besides sauteing and freezing as a part of dishes. But this year, I purposely set out to change that. I wanted to be able to continuously harvest fresh beans throughout the season that we could enjoy daily, every few days with meals as fresh green beans. And then I'm trying to grow a lot more extra. I would love to be able to grow a year's supply, but if I don't, I still have farmers markets available to get those to supplement. So we will see. I'm going to be very curious to see how much this amount of green beans harvested will yield. Like I said, I have a lot more going. I still have some more that I'm going to be setting up this weekend. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see how these turn out. I also do have some colorful green beans that I'm going to preserve through freeze drying. So I have some yellow wax, some purple, and then I have some different peas. I have a yellow Italian Romano bean. I'm going to preserve those through freeze drying. And then some of the peas I pulled, I'm going to make up like a little eggplant ragu, because I have some eggplant that I harvested that I won't be using all of it up this week. I have a bunch more coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and get that preserved. And I reserved some of the sweet peas and beans to put with that as well, and I can run out to the garden and get more. But I'm going to, while the pressure cannon is running, I'm going to get the freeze dryer turned on and get these beans into the freeze dryer. All right, I got all the beans cleaned up, chopped up into 1-inch pieces. I'm going to do a mixture. I'm going to do some chopped, and then probably the next batch I do, I'll leave them whole and try to like harvest a bunch from one variety also, so I can just, right now it's just a mixture of whatever green beans I had left. Well, I only got 2 pint-sized jars, and so yeah, that shows you, I mean, you need a lot of green beans if you plan on growing a year's worth. And again, it depends on what a year's worth is to you, right? I know what a year's worth is to me, and it's a lot of jars. So I think I have to plant some more green beans. All right, so I have my jars prepared. I'm doing the raw pack method. I'm gonna get these into the canner along with a couple of jars of just water, since I only have these 2. All right, let's get a quick weight on the rest of the harvest. I just got these 2 Anaheim peppers, 1.3 ounces. I'm gonna just keep it all in there and just keep tearing as I go. These are the sweet banana peppers. I'm gonna use these for a preservation project. Actually, all of these peppers. So the sweet banana peppers are another 6.2 pounds. There's that cucumber, 3.3 ounces, and that should be ounces that I said for the banana peppers, obviously not pounds. Let's put these green beans on top. Actually, I have one more banana pepper. Zero that, and then let's do these cayenne peppers real quick. It's so light. Okay. Put the mixture of beans and peas on top. Okay. I'll zero that again. I'm gonna empty that out, and then I gotta do the kohlrabi, and I'm gonna do all the tomatoes together. Hope you can hear this. I have the canner going. This is that one big green tomato that I accidentally knocked off. I hope you can hear this over the pressure canner. I'm gonna combine this along with some other green potatoes. I'm gonna combine that along with some other green tomatoes that I accidentally knocked off to do a preservation project, I think. Or maybe I'll save that one and do fried green tomatoes, but I'm growing green tomatoes. I don't know, we'll see. Let's do the tomatoes now. These are my first 2 Romas. I'm just gonna put all the tomatoes in together. I'm gonna take this one out. Looks like this one had blossom end rot. I think my watering wasn't hitting some of the areas during the heat drought. During that heat up, I may have missed. This one's here, we'll leave that out. But those are all the tomatoes for today. 2 pounds, 11.4 ounces. Not bad. The last thing I have to weigh are the onions. This isn't the best scale for weighing these onions, but I don't feel like pulling out my other scale. I'm just gonna put them all in there. Okay. So this is reading 4 pounds, 1.1 ounces. And that is the second batch of the intermediate day onions. So I'm very pleased with that. I'm gonna put all these to use throughout the rest of this week into next week for my Every Bit Counts Challenge preservation project. So I'm excited to have onions ready this early, enough of them that I can use for these projects. So, all right, let me get back to checking on the canner, and then I'm getting some stuff ready for the freeze dryer. I'm just gonna show you what I'm doing. I'm gonna be freeze drying these. This is one of the ways I'm preserving them this year. So I'm just cutting them in half. You can see the sriracha is a really thick walled pepper. You know, it's like a jalapeno. And it has a good amount of seeds in the cavity. I harvested and saved all the seeds from the green ones, and I am definitely harvesting and saving all the ones from this red ripened one. Okay, so here are the sriracha peppers, and here are all the seeds that I saved from these. I have loads more growing in the garden. I have more ripened that I'm actually gonna harvest today. But I'm gonna get these into the freeze dryer. I'll show you what they look like when they are the green ones. And then I had a few cayenne peppers that I'm throwing on the freeze dryer tray also. Here are all the seeds that I've saved from those few cayenne peppers. There were what, 2, 4, 6, 7 of them. And then here are all the seeds that I have saved from the green sriracha peppers. Well, some of them were starting to ripen to red, but they weren't fully red, so I, you know, save those seeds separately. I can test to see then when I regrow these next year if there's a difference between plants grown from green srirachas versus the red srirachas, but we'll see. I've heard from people that, you know, they may not be fully viable if they haven't fully ripened to red. I've tested it with some other varieties. I haven't seen much of a difference, but just so that I'm not disappointed, I do keep them separate and label them separately. And when I share them at seed exchanges, I can also, you know, make sure the person that's taking those seeds, they know, okay, these are from peppers that weren't fully ripened, and so they're aware in case there's a lower germination. They already know that ahead of time. So yeah, it's just a good habit for me to keep. And let us know in the comments if you've saved, you know, pepper seeds from peppers that weren't fully ripened. You know, did you have issues with germination? Did you see a difference? I'm curious to know. Okay, so here are the green beans out of the canner. You can see this jar wasn't really completely packed full like this one was, but that's okay. It gives me a good gauge for how many, you know, bowls of green beans I need to be harvesting to get to my year-end goal. And so as I said, this is the first time I'm trying to grow and pressure can a year's supply of green beans. And so we'll see. I may not make it this year. I hope I can. I have a lot going out there. And like I said, I have time to start some more, and we'll see what happens. And I do have my backup farmer's market green beans available if necessary. All right, let me move on to, I'm gonna try and get in a few more things today while the pressure canner, not the pressure canner, the freeze dryer is running. Okay, so here are the first 2 trays fresh out the oven. These are the mostly green sriracha peppers. These are the few cayenne peppers. These are Anaheim peppers, and these are the sweet banana peppers. So I'm gonna get these backed up and labeled, and then we'll look at the final 2 trays. Okay, and here are the last 2 trays. These are the sriracha peppers that ripen to red. And then these are the various peas and beans. Mostly beans, but yeah. I did also decide to go ahead and freeze some of these extra tomatoes. I still have a huge bowl of tomatoes I'm about to go harvest now. And so I'm just putting some into the freezer for a sauce that I'm gonna do in a few days, but I just wanna put them in the freezer so that they don't get over ripened. And you'll see that again. I froze some more vegetables. I'll show you all of that. There were some other things that I've harvested, and I think I showed earlier in the video, but I'm gonna be making some sauces with these tomatoes, some of those vegetables, and those intermediate day onions that I harvested. So yeah, that'll be things that I can just pull out, start working on while I'm in the middle of harvesting or freeze drying. So you'll see that in my second installation of this Every Bit Counts challenge. Okay, so here's what I got done during the first several days of the Everything Counts challenge. I got lots of beans canned. Started with my jars of freeze-dried peppers. I'm not gonna grind these up into powders yet. I'm gonna continue as I save small bits. You know, lots of what I'm harvesting now I'm using for meals. Whatever's left will go into the freeze dryer at night. And I'll just keep doing these mixed trays until I get to the point where I can do larger batches. And yeah, I'm looking forward to trying these freeze-dried bean snacks. And then, boy, what a wake-up call it is to see how many more beans I need to harvest in order to hit my goal for pressure canning a year's supply of green beans. And again, if I can't get them all from my garden, I will for sure get them from the farm, because I definitely, one way or another, want to have that staple item on the pantry. They taste so much better than anything you can buy store canned. And so yeah, I'll see you in the next video for the next several days. I did already prep some things that are in the freezer that I didn't share, but we'll continue. Probably the next few days will be a mixture of different kinds of canning and other kinds of preservation as well. Make sure you check the hashtag Every Bit Counts challenge. I'll make sure I put it on the screen or somewhere, the correct hashtag, because I'm telling you, even when you go back over the years, there are just so many awesome, inspiring videos out there. I've seen some that I've taken note of. I might try some of those things this year, though I do have my own list already of I know what I want to do. If I have some extra time, I saw at least a dozen recipes that I want to try. And so yeah, I'll see y'all back here soon. Take good care. Bye.